Hello everyone, this is Red Racer. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to my reaction and thoughts about what was revealed on October 20th, 2016. And to start things off, I would like to say that yes, I was wrong about my prediction for codename NX, now officially known as Nintendo Switch. In a nutshell, I subscribed to the notion that codename NX was going to be a family of systems, and I thought Nintendo would reveal a home console first and then the portable portion. A part of me even thought we would just install an app for a game by game basis on our smartphones. And I also thought there would not be a detachable controllers. And I also thought AMD would be involved. I was wrong, and that's fine. Now let's talk about what the Nintendo Switch is. Yesterday I saw on the Nintendo website that we would be expecting a home console. And if Nintendo still considers it a home console, then they're defining home gaming system differently, or it was false advertisement. You could say that they do consider it first and foremost a home gaming system because you will have the choice of taking it with you on the go. That is an option. Here are a dozen things I caught for Nintendo Switch and my thoughts. Let's get started. 1. It is plugged into an HDTV and you can play all your games at home on your couch. This is a traditional home console. This is what I expected. 2. This was not what I expected. You have the choice of either using the detachable controllers with a middle piece, more on that later, or a Switch Pro traditional controller. The detachable controllers we saw on leaks a while back were spot on. I feel these are too small when used by themselves. I already have cramping hands with my 3DS XL, and with this tiny thing I feel like it won't feel as good as a quote normal size controller otherwise would. And once you use these tiny detachable controllers by themselves, it doesn't look like the shoulder buttons can be used effectively for a first person shooter. So I think these little detachable controllers will only be used for simple games. But I don't think all games will be compatible with just one Joy controller. Are the individual Joy R and L controllers going to have haptic feedback? If so, this would make the battery even smaller than what I suspect. 3. The middle holding piece used for holding both Joy L and R controllers is a mystery to me. What does this thing do? Does it have an extra battery for the controllers? I say yes. Does it have a mule support? Yes again. Is this the only way to have haptic feedback? Again, is the haptic feedback available with individual Joy R and L controllers, or only available when plugged in to this middle holding piece? I say without this middle piece, haptic feedback won't happen. Or does it simply make both controller pieces act as one controller when being used? I think it sends a signal to the dock that's holding Switch and say, hey, I am being used, so both Joy R and L controllers are going to be used for one player. 4. Is the screen a touch screen? Despite the lack of evidence, I feel it is. It has to be. 5. Cartridge. I did think this new console will use cartridges. It makes the hardware smaller, cheaper, and more portable and less prone to malfunction. But if you look at the picture on Nintendo's website, it does not look like a 3DS or a DS cartridge. It looks like it's the same size, but the cartridge copper connectors are wider in the Switch version than they are for the 3DS. But they could change this to make it backward compatible for 3DS. But seeing as how the 3DS uses two screens, I don't see that happening. 6. Headphone Jack. Come on, Apple, what's wrong with you? 7. Kickstand. Maybe you won't have to buy an external case for this, and it would be tough to make it work with the detachable controllers. But I'm sure there's a third party out there that will sell these accessories. 8. The dock hides the screen. Why? I think because Nintendo is completely done with using multiple screens. It didn't work with the Wii U, and a lot of games didn't really take advantage of the second screen on the 3DS. 2 reasons why I think the dock exists. First scenario. The dock charges the console and cools it down. The screen turns off to reduce heat, and with an external fan, the console is made to work harder to output better graphics for the HDTV. Second scenario, which I think is a little bit more likely. The dock charges the console and it works as a graphical amplifier. It lets the console work less so it can get charged faster, and the dock takes over a good portion of the graphical load. And in this scenario, the dock may be sold separately. In this case, the console could be charged with a separate cable connected to the console itself. The dock may be sold as part of the bundle we heard about along with a game or the Pro Controller. Of course, since Nintendo called this a home gaming system, it will most likely be included with the console. In both scenarios, I think the dock does not take the cartridge. The top part of the console is exposed, and this is where the cartridge goes in. However, the dock may also have an external hard drive with a faster connection to the console than USB 3. And obviously in both scenarios, it has the power supply. 9. The console bar holder for the card. Is this really going to be an accessory? I feel like this will definitely be sold separately. 10. Basketball game. Is Nintendo saying that for this specific basketball game, you can play 2-on-2, but you need a separate console for separate teams? For example, I play with my friend against 2 other friends, but we need one console for each team? Or was each console used for each separate game? We will have to wait and see. 11. Is that a new Paper Mario game in the Super Mario 64 style? I think so. 12. Competitive gaming. It looks like you can get 8 players total, 2 teams of 4 to compete against each other, and you can network all 8 switches without internet, as long as you are all in the same room. This looks very possible. I have played against 7 players locally in Mario Kart 7 at the same time, and the gameplay is fine. So this is definitely a possibility. My final thoughts. It will be very interesting to see how this console does. We know very little about the spec and even less about actual games from third-party developers. My greatest fear falls under 2 scenarios. 1. The console, since it is portable, may not be powerful enough to play the most demanding games that are out now or will be out in the next year or so. Or 2. The portable portion may be powerful enough, but that means Nintendo may have sacrificed portability by making it heavier than imagined, or the battery life will suffer. However, Nintendo likes selling hardware that is less expensive than the competition, and it has worked out for them in the past for the most part. The Game Boy was underpowered in its time, the 3DS is horribly underpowered now, but still managed to sell more than the PS4 and Xbox One combined. Nintendo may be saying, you know what, we are able to sell portable hardware, even with inferior specs. And if you think about it, providing top-of-the-line hardware doesn't necessarily mean you will outsell the competition. This is true for cars, houses, and computers. Yes, there will always be a market for top-of-the-line hardware, but Nintendo has proven on multiple occasions that it can do very well with quote underpowered hardware. Nintendo is delicately trying to balance innovation with price and hardware specs. And even though I was wrong on my assumption for Codename MX, now known as Switch, I cannot wait to see how the general public will react to the gaming giant's new innovation. One last point. Now that the tablet market has exploded and is becoming a bit oversaturated, I think Nintendo has implemented their adaptation to the market stride. They did this in 1985, and they are doing it again in 2017. Yes, the gaming industry is not collapsing, but it definitely is stagnating. Nintendo saw the tablet gaming market and wants to seize the opportunity. So that's it. This is my Nintendo Switch rant. Do you guys agree with my analysis? Do you think Nintendo's going in the right direction? Please comment below. This is Red Racer signing off. I'll catch you on my next video. Take care.
Hey buddy, we're doing great. If this keeps up, I think we're gonna win this fight.